My daddy, I don't know. I never had the dad jokes. I guess there was one of like, there's geese flying in the air. Why is one side longer than the other? I don't know, Dad. Why? Because there's more geese on that side. I think that was the only one. It was more of like, okay, count the points on the deer head. Like.
This is GRL Raw, the podcast where the GRL team tells you why they're different. Who the hell are they? Why should you want them fighting for you? The industry leader in law with over 180 years of combined experience. This team is here to shed light on crucial topics in law to keep you aware and informed, because it comes back to the primary point: we give a damn.
Welcome to episode 7 of GRL Raw. Normally we don't pre-title our episodes. Normally we don't. We let our good friends at Bing Bang come up with creative ones. We did come up with something. Because today I am joined by Madisyn Moorman, and we decided that we are going to name this episode MadDog and Muskets, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Can't go wrong. MadDog, where do we get MadDog from in this title?
So when I was younger, I would drink MadDog 2020.
Younger as in over 21, of course.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, never underage. My first sip of alcohol was at 21. But yeah, that's what I would drink because it was cheap and you can get a buzz. It was good.
Okay.
And it was easy to chug down.
And with the name Madisyn,
Correct.
MadDog fits.
It's stuck.
It's stuck. You can't get away with it.
No.
And I can't believe that we did not know this fact until literally yesterday as we were prepping for this.
Yeah, well, you guys don't know a whole lot about me. You guys just know that, like, I shoot guns, and now I'm here, and that's kind of it.
And you're a phone answerer, receptionist extraordinaire.
I do more than that.
Okay.
That sounds so pathetic.
You do.
I do a lot more than that.
A ton more than that.
Yeah.
Okay, so why are we talking to you, and why should anybody continue listening past learning your nickname?
Okay, so I'm a certified NRA instructor. So NRA is National Rifle Association.
I knew that.
Did you?
I did.
Okay, some people don't, so I have to explain.
Okay.
So what I did for that is I took a 3-day course and through another instructor who is certified to teach instructors to become certified
Okay.
through the NRA. 3-day course, and then I had to shoot to qualify.
So you had to prove that you knew how to shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which that needs to happen.
Yeah, so what do you do with that certification?
So after I became certified, I did my first co-ed class. And then after that, I was like, there's not a lot of avenues for women.
Yeah.
Just for women.
Yeah.
It's for firearm industry, it's very male dominated.
It's a man thing.
It is. We'll call it a man thing. Quote unquote. Okay. So I was like, there's not a place for women to go in to feel comfortable. And, there are males that offer just women classes. But it's like, they're still kind of intimidating at times. Like, they don't try to come off that way, but sometimes they just...
Understand.
Understand. It's men and it's firearms and...
That's the man world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I started just teaching women firearm instruction.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
That's breaking up the barriers
Yes.
to entry,
Yeah.
right? And getting
Yeah.
women involved in a very important
Yeah.
part of life.
And it's very intimidating because you hear all the stories about firearms, or you see men mostly in the commercials, mostly, handling the firearms or advertising or speaking on it. And I was like, there's some women in there that are making a difference, but we need more.
Yeah.
Always need more.
Okay.
So
So you have a business
Yes.
teaching women firearm safety
correct.
and firearm instruction.
Yes.
What is that business called?
It's called I Carry My Own.
Clever.
Yes.
Clever.
Yes.
Okay. And so you teach women, only women, so you won't teach me. Like if I need help, you won't teach me?
We'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might need some help on this.
I think everybody does.
So people might be able to guess by the fact that you are a firearms instructor, and we have a firearm unloaded, safely secured.
The slide's open, so we can see from this side that it's
on our table.
Yeah,
so what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about firearm safety. We're going to talk a little bit about the laws. Talk about some important things that you need to do if you're going to actually purchase a firearm and after you purchase a firearm.
We're gonna do some Second Amendment talking.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, I can't wait.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we get to the point, that didn't even work. Before we
bullet point?
Yeah. Before we get to the targeted topic of conversation, we need to do the GRL update.
Yeah.
So we step back.
Yeah.
First thing on our list.
You're welcome.
Madisyn is now full-time part of the GRL team. You started part-time because you have your business, and you probably weren't sure that you really wanted to hang out with us all
I didn't know if I liked you guys that well. And you didn't know if you liked me.
True. And we have now, you're full-time. You're a full-timer now.
Yes.
Exciting.
Yes.
Another thing, Lindholm had a trial, was it last week? Might have been last week. OWI trial.
Yeah.
Down in Wayne County.
Yeah.
How'd that end?
He won. NFG.
NFG.
Yes.
That's right. So Lindholm got a big NFG. And I'm actually going to start a new, nobody knew this, a new kind of subtopic of the update. What I want to do is I want to give a quick shout out to some friends of ours, some other fellow NFG warriors, as we like to call them, who had some incredible success since we last talked. Okay. First, Andrea Flanagan with Flanagan Law Group. She actually took this case 10 days before, a murder first, a homicide case, and got a big fat NFG on that.
Wow.
That's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
That's
a huge deal.
That is some next level work.
Yeah.
Yep. Our friends Sean and Molly Spellman got a big NFG on a sex assault case out in Boone County, which we love nothing more than for a Boone County spanking, right? Yeah. And then we're missing two of our younger partners currently. Where are they off at?
Well, one is on his anniversary, right?
Yeah. Grant.
Yes.
Catching fish.
Yeah.
Down south.
Just enjoying. God.
Sorry, Grant's gone. He'll be back.
We're all jealous of where he's at.
Yeah. The other one, we're not quite as jealous. You might be jealous.
I'm jealous, but we don't know if he's going to be able to make it back. I think we only heard from him once.
Okay. Who's that?
Scott.
What's he doing?
He's bear hunting.
Bear hunting?
Yes.
With a bow or a rifle?
Rifle.
I gave him crap last episode saying if you were a man, you'd bow hunt a bear from the ground.
Have you ever seen the videos of bow hunting a bear?
Yes, I have. I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you're tough, you would. Yeah. Anyway.
Or you could spear.
That would be tough. Caveman. Okay, that's the news. That's the updates as far as I know that anybody's told me anything about. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to be on target with the topic of the day, which is firearms and the Second Amendment.
If we had to explain our culture, GRL's culture, with one case, I think the case that best explains it is the one where we turned a traffic ticket appeal ultimately to $12+ million. When I came in the morning, there was a printed inquiry on my chair of a young mother who wanted to appeal a traffic ticket conviction that she received. And as I read through it, fiance died in the accident. The young lady's 2-year-old son received a traumatic brain injury. And then the mom who had the ticket, she fractured her back in the accident. And that all happened because a semi-trailer was illegally parked on the side of an interstate, pulled out in front of them and didn't have the appropriate lighting. And then they hit the back of the semi-trailer.
Until GRL law got involved in this case, every single car that rear-ended another was always at fault until this case. This was the seminal case on this particular issue that determined you can actually be at fault if you're the vehicle in front.
Ultimately, that case transformed GRL into what we are now.
We are back, ready to do some Second Amendment firearm guns, bang, bang talking.
Yeah.
All right. What is the first thing on our to-do list? Anytime we're talking about guns, and this is a good thing, good segue too, MadDog and Muskets. Mm-hmm. I think we probably start off the fact that booze and guns, drugs and guns never mix. Can we? Is that a hard and fast rule that we can set?
Yeah, I always say in my classes, I was like, you can no alcohol or drugs before, but you can do alcohol after.
Yep.
Like, go celebrate that you just got done, at the range.
Hit all the bullseyes.
Yep. Go have a beer.
Okay, but not before.
No.
Not during.
No.
After.
Yes.
Okay, that's a hard and fast rule. Firearm Safety 101, no drugs, no alcohol.
Correct.
And we're going to talk about that, too, about legal implications.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, as a firearm instructor, somebody who teaches both safety and personal effective use of a firearm, which is probably kind of important.
Yeah.
What would be the top things on your list? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot, and that's why you have a class that takes a few days to get through. But if you had to pick the top things that people need to know about firearm safety, what would be number one?
They need to know laws. Like, I don't care if you want to own a firearm or if you do. And it's because people who don't own firearms, they still like to talk about it. There's still some, you need to know the laws.
Okay.
And understand them, which is so lovely. When they write the laws, they like to write them in riddles, as I call it.
And you used to work up with some of those folks, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Then I came to you guys.
Yeah, you did a better job. Good decisions in life. You're progressing.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's good to hear.
Okay, so laws. Know the laws, because anytime a firearm is involved, there are legal requirements and there's legal implications for and regarding firearm use.
Correct. Yep.
I mean, we have an entire amendment that deals with firearms.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
And
number
it's
two.
a constant topic in our Capitol all the time.
And it's
in
constantly
Congress.
changing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
There's always something that's rolling into play.
So we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about some of that. Hopefully, trying to educate people a little bit more about the laws. What would be number two?
Safe handling. So, which is also just, same thing of like knowing the laws. You want to know how to safely handle a firearm.
That makes sense.
Obviously, you would think.
What are some basics to safe handling of a firearm?
So obviously,
You got one right here. If you need to show it, show it.
So always here.
Yeah.
So don't point it at Bobby.
Thank you.
So you always want to keep the barrel pointed towards something that's not a person, whether it's real, fake, live, dead, whatever. As in, speaking of the gun, not a person.
Okay.
But you always want to make sure it's pointed away from people, no matter what's around you. Also, keep your finger off the trigger.
So when we see the movies, we see the pictures of people. It's funny. I did a blog post
Okay.
a long time ago on, it was firearm safety, but I used a stock image, and it happened to have a picture of a lady with the finger was on the trigger, and I caught hell from a couple firearm instructors for using that photo. I didn't know. I'm not necessarily a firearm person, but finger off the trigger makes sense.
Because if you watch old movies,
Yeah.
they're running with their gun up and their fingers on the trigger. I was like, what are you doing?
Okay.
And so now, just being an instructor, I was like, look, did you see that? Did you see that? Or you'll watch videos and be like, they should be out by now, like out of ammo.
Yeah. If you count.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah.
Okay. So always point away.
Yeah.
Finger not on the trigger.
Finger off the trigger. Know what you're aiming at and what's beyond it.
Ooh, we talked about this with the hunting episode. My brother-in-law got smoked.
Yeah. So in an indoor range, you don't have to worry about it so much, but outdoor range. So when I shoot at the outdoor range, deer are not scared of the gunshots. And so there's times that they'll run behind the target for some stupid reason.
We should have added that scenario to our hunting episode on what if you accidentally miss the target and get yourself a 30-point buck.
Yeah, I feel like the DNR would take it.
Okay.
Man.
Okay. So know what you're shooting at and what's behind it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other safe handling? What about storage? For me as a parent, and one of the reasons that I haven't got down that gun route is you hear those tragic stories of kids playing around with guns, something really bad happens.
Yeah.
So what is a priority for people to understand with gun ownership and safe storage of firearms?
If you're not supervising the firearm, okay?
So in other words, you don't have it on you.
Right, and
Okay.
it's put away. You need to have it in a place that it's not going to get to unauthorized persons, whether they're a child or an adult, because you don't know what that adult's education is.
True.
So it needs to be put away, locked up. So whether it's locked in a closet or you have a mechanism through the gun that obviously causes it not to be able to function, or you have it in a gun safe.
So like a trigger lock?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So now here's my question that always comes up. Everybody's like, ooh, I'm going to have a gun to protect myself at home.
Yeah.
But if a bad person breaks in and is intent on doing harm, I have to go to the gun safe, unlock the gun safe under the stress of the situation,
Yeah.
probably load my gun, take the trigger lock off. By then, everybody's dead.
Right.
So what are-
if you're using a particular firearm for home defense, so we've kind of talked about this, and I've gotten this holster personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Front desk is loaded, people. Don't mess.
So what this is, and I'm excited to use it or practice with it, I guess.
Okay. We don't want to have to use it.
Yeah, I don't ever want
Right.
to have to use it. But what it is, it's a holster that takes your thumbprint, and it can take up to multiple thumbprints. So once it scans, it'll come out of the holster. So it won't come out at all if some kid's tugging on it.
So you can install, it's an installable holster?
Yes, yep. You can
for
install
like
it right
under-
next to your bedside. Because if people have kids that are coming in the middle of
Yep.
the night, they want to get in the bed with mom and dad.
Yep, they
and
do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. My dog is about to
Same thing, same thing. So you scan it and that's what allows you to pull it out.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
So that way you do have that quick home defense, because it does happen in an instant.
Yeah.
Like you don't have that time majority to rack around into the chamber and pull that trigger.
That makes perfect sense. That's a great storage suggestion, and that's actually the perfect segue into the next thing that on our list of top things people need to know. So we have the law, safe handling, safe storage, and then what?
Training.
Training.
Which is
Come
my
on.
favorite.
Listen, I know I've watched movies. I shot BB guns as a kid. What training? What do you
I
mean?
hate that quote.
Huh?
I hate that quote.
I figured you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I tell the women in my class, I was like, there's so many people that they're like, oh, I'm going to buy a firearm, and then they stick it in their holster, or majority they stick it in their carry purse.
Okay.
And I was like, have you practiced? No.
I know how.
Okay. Yeah. So you're going to tell me when somebody's coming at you, threatening your life, you're going to turn into John Wick.
Yeah.
Right on the spot.
Dude, movies happens every time, and it's bam, bam.
You know Keanu Reeves, you know how much he trained for that movie?
None.
You should watch his training videos. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you don't turn into John Wick right there when something happens. Your adrenaline's running. There's even one of the ranges that I practiced at, his wife went through a class that was put on by police officers, and they wanted her, it was obviously blanks, but it would show where she would hit if she did shoot at a person that was running at her.
So like a simulation.
But it was a live person.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they ran at her, and she trains. Obviously, like
Mm-hmm.
her husband owns the range. She's gonna they train together, and she goes, I even shot low, in the leg. I've done it with a piece of paper coming at you on a track,
Oh.
and you're still like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So it's training.
That's how
It's
John
train-
Wick gets past the bad guys that are shooting at him. They haven't trained.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So training as in, so don't just buy a gun, put it in your purse or put it in your holster, put it in the center console of your truck and leave it there to let it gather dust.
Yeah, you need to go into different classes. You need to. The best one is find an instructor that will do a one-on-one instruction with you.
Okay.
And that way they're focusing on what maybe your bad habits are, or what needs fixed, or what can be tweaked so you're a better shot.
I mean, that's a good point, because as you say training, I mean, maybe I have envisioning, taking my gun out into the backyard, setting some, not in the suburbs, setting some targets up, and then rolling around and running around like you see in the movies. That's not the type of training you're talking about.
Please don't do that.
Okay.
No, and I even go to training, and I love it. And you're supposed to have fun with it. I enjoy it so much.
That would be fun.
I enjoy it a whole lot. So, especially when you start shooting faster.
Are there places that have, like you see in military training, like kill houses, where you can practice clearing a house?
Yeah, they have the simulations around. There's a place here in town that does it, or around.
Not the video games that Lynn Holman and I play.
No, not the video games. Like actual, like clearing it out, or.
So what about practicing? We talked about in prep. We do fire drills, or we're supposed to with our kids, right? Fire safety, fire drills. Here's where we go. Anything like that for like a home invasion drill?
Yeah. So with home invasion, so that's one thing. Like we train, we practice, we're good to go. And I have to relate to people who have children. So, which I don't have any, so I have to be like, okay, we got to talk about this. What are you going to do if someone does break into your home? What is your drill? Like say you have a baby. And then maybe you have another kid. It's like, okay, we all go into the baby's room. Do you have an extra set of keys in the baby's room to get everybody out, maybe get them in a car and get them out, get them out of danger? So
that's interesting. I didn't think of housing design related to safety. Maybe a builder should think about that. Because as I'm thinking about the layout of my upstairs, kids are first, I'm last.
So when I lived in my first home was 640 square feet. Okay.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was so small. It was perfect. I had a firearm in each room. Each room. Like even when I went to take a shower, I had a firearm in there.
You were ready.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen those videos where people like break in?
I'm not. Don't break into Madisyn's house. You will.
Okay, hopefully no one sees this as a challenge because I really don't want to be on the front news.
What's the next safety thing that we need to talk about? Moving on.
Oh my goodness. What is the next one? Picking out a firearm, which is one of my favorites too. Okay. So, handling different firearms. So everybody's hands are different size. Everybody's needs and wants are different size, okay? So you need to figure out which gun is going to suit you best. It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Too big, too small, just right. Okay? Too hard, too soft, comfy. Okay?
Got it.
Okay. Same thing when you put a firearm in your hand.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, what if it feels good? I hold it good, but I don't shoot it good.
Well, you need to shoot it.
Okay.
But the first part is to figure out, does it feel good in your hands?
Okay.
Okay? So when you purchase, so your grip is your dominant hand, okay?
Okay.
So I'm right-handed, so I grip it with my right hand. And then you want to see, is this going to be too big for my hand, too small for my hand? Does it feel okay? And when you are purchasing something, you need to let the people behind the counter know.
Okay.
Okay? Also the sights. Are the sights pronounced enough that you can see them?
The older you are, probably you need a bigger sight.
And the bigger and louder they are, I'll say louder, meaning more pronounced, the more defensive they are.
Okay.
Because when you get really good, you can rack it on your pocket.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's that?
You rack it on your pocket?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't do it with these ones, but I'm going to have to stand up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You rack.
So right here is my pocket.
Uh-huh.
You can see that. So what they would do is they take it and they rack it. So this would be closed.
Oh.
So they rack it and they put a round in the chamber.
From their pocket.
Yeah.
So they pull it out and it's like smooth as a... Okay.
Yeah, there's some cool tricks I can show you.
Learn something new today. I might have to go get myself one just so I can learn how to do these tricks.
Just do it unloaded.
Okay. Now, it brings up MadDog's... This is what brings out the MadDog of Madisyn.
Oh, yeah.
I
get ferocious.
Ferocious, like eat people. Your biggest pet peeve of all time is related to this topic, is it not?
Yes, it's. I have many women that come to me like, "Well, my husband bought me this gun," and I go, "What?" And sometimes they do a good job, but majority of the time they suck at it.
It's a well-intentioned gift.
You suck at it.
Okay.
So, because
dudes don't buy your girls a gun.
Buy them diamonds or whatever else they want. I don't know.
What if they ask for a gun?
If they ask for a gun, make them go with you.
Okay.
Make them go with you. And this is where I'm like, I will go anywhere you want to go, and I will help you pick out a firearm.
Okay.
Okay. So when they buy them a firearm, they think they want the smallest firearm possible.
Petite.
You don't.
Okay.
You don't. Absolutely not. No. So they go in and they shoot it. They're like, oh, I don't like this gun. I'm like, You want to tell your husband, or do you want me to tell him?
Right.
So I had a gal who, she was like, Madisyn, never shot before. Like, maybe when I was younger, that was about it. She's like, I want to take some classes from you. And I said, perfect. She goes, but I would like to buy her firearm first. I said, fantastic. We'll go together. We'll pick something out for you. So she texts me the next day, and she goes, hey, I bought a firearm. What? She goes, yeah, I went somewhere, and I bought a 45. That's a large caliber for a first-timer.
That's good.
First-timer. I texted her.
I don't know much, but I know.
I texted her back, and I said, where did you buy it? And you tell me now. And she would not tell me, because I was like, I will go to that range now, and they will get an earful from me. They wanted to make a sale.
Absolutely.
And I've worked with guys that are really good. They really want everybody to find the firearm for them, especially when you're new. They're very patient, very kind.
Okay.
But then there's some people in the industry who are just like, oh, you don't know this? It's like, where do you think you started?
Right. So dudes, don't buy your girls a gun.
Unless they're with you, and don't make them buy something that they don't want just because you like it.
Step back, right? Don't get the MadDog fired up.
It wouldn't be my first time telling someone to sit down and be quiet.
I've heard. Okay, next topic.
Okay.
Permitless carry.
Yeah.
Now, before we get to this topic, we're going to put that away
Oh, that's right.
so I can bring out a special surprise.
Okay.
So, in honor of the nickname MadDog and your backstory, times have changed. I recall these used to be in like a bottle.
They
Plastic,
still
cheap,
have them
like-
in a bottle.
Well,
but they did start with
They
this.
don't on the West End. And
Step up your game.
and they again, I walked into
Duct
Hy-Vee. I walked into Hy-Vee, and they looked at me like I was crazy for asking for the MD.
Because
We had to go to Casey's, and this is what we could find.
I don't even know if this is relevant to like the kids these days.
It's not. It's not. No, they have the seltzers, which are way easier. So you get to pick your flavor. You have tangy orange or sweet blue raspberry. All right. Now we're going to talk about, now that we're done with safety.
I was hoping it was like the bottle, because then I could just chuck the cap,
Well,
like back in the day.
I failed. All right, permitless carry. What are we talking about?
Okay, so July 1st.
Not good.
Are you sure? Mine was really good.
I'm glad. Okay.
You know, mine tastes like a little like a Capri Sun.
You rock that Capri Sun. Permitless carry, what are we talking about?
Okay, yeah, so July 1st, 2017, we went to Permitless Carry. So,
What is permitless carry?
so basically whoever passes a background check is legal to carry a firearm,
Okay.
where it's legal to carry.
So in other words, in Iowa, we used to hear about permit to carry, or you got to have, I got a concealed weapons permit, all that stuff. July 1st, was it 2017 or 2018? One of those years.
I think it was 17.
They changed it, and the legislatures made this new law that said you do not have to have a permit.
Or I'm thinking of a different one.
I think it's 18.
2021.
Somebody will correct us.
Yeah, because 17 was stand your ground. Sorry.
I think it was 18 was permitless carry. Could be wrong. We'll figure it
It's
out.
the MadDog. It's messing up our years.
Here's the thing. Currently in Iowa, they removed a requirement that you have to have a permit, a special permit, to be able to carry a loaded firearm on your person or in your vehicle or in public. Right?
Yep.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, yep.
Does that cause you concern as a firearm instructor? I understand you love the Second Amendment
Yeah.
and firearms, but
Yes, and it does cause concerns because I noticed in my classes that there wasn't many people wanting to take a permit to carry class. And it still taught the laws. I'm like, afterwards, y'all can decide if you want to go to the sheriff's office.
that's a bite.
I have to watch your faces. It was if you wanted to go to the
sheriff's office to get a permit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And see if you were lawfully.
Here's my beef with it. We talked about hunting last episode. Mm-hmm. You have to go through a hunter safety course in Iowa to be able to go shoot an animal, to harvest an animal. Mm-hmm. I have to do no such thing now in Iowa. I do not have to prove that I know how to use a gun, handle a gun, shoot a gun, or that I can hit what I'm shooting at and not accidentally hit a kid who's 20 yards away even. For me, that I'm calling BS. But it's the law. That's the fact now.
So basically, and there's issues also with hunting. They're like, why do I have to go to the king to see if I can hunt?
Because the king owns the land.
Right. So, but yeah, it's causing concern because people, especially when permitless carry came out, they were like, it turns into the wild, wild west. I'm like, no, it doesn't. The laws still pertain, and you still need education.
We're going to harp on education this whole time.
Oh, yeah.
What laws still apply that people think, you hear permitless carry, people confuse it with constitutional carry. We had that talk. It's different than constitutional carry. It's permitless carry is the way it is. So people think, I just go buy a gun. I'm going to go do this. I don't have to go through any special steps.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
No.
Everybody has to go through this step.
Still have to. So there's still laws that regulate firearm transactions.
Correct.
Okay?
Yeah. So if you want to go purchase a firearm, there's a form that you have to fill out.
What's that form called?
It's basically an application for the firearm. It's a 4473.
U.S. Department of Justice.
Yes.
Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
Yes.
You have to fill that form out.
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody has to fill that out. You can't have help on it.
You can?
Cannot.
I can't help you answer questions?
No. So if you go to a range or a gun shop and you start to fill this out and they're like, well, what do I answer to this? I can't. And be like, I'm sorry, nope, I can't help you.
Okay, so the lawyer side of me, this thing is under oath. It's a federal application. If you lie, provide any untruthful information on this, it is a felony. It's a Class D felony statewide.
Yes.
They will prosecute you federally, which is the last place anybody wants to be, right?
Yep.
It asks questions like, are you under indictment or information in any court for a felony? Are you a fugitive from justice? Are you an unlawful user or addicted to marijuana or any depressant? How in the hell you can't get help on these?
Nope. I can only tell you where to stop. Where to stop.
Are you an alien illegally or unlawfully in the? I mean, these are legal conclusions, as we like to say.
I would hope you would know. Reading that,
do.
Even as me, I'm not an attorney, but I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to answer that.
What's the definition of felony?
Well, I don't have one.
What's the definition?
What is the definition?
How do you know you don't have one?
Because I never committed a crime.
What that you got caught for? What's a fugitive from justice?
Well, I've never been in jail.
Maybe because you're too good of a fugitive.
You think you would know your record?
A fugitive. What?
Well,
you ever watched the movie Fugitive?
No.
Oh my God. Really?
Yeah.
Fugitive is somebody who's running from the law.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, you have to answer these truthfully if you don't know the questions.
But I'm not running for the law. Running from the law.
Maybe not today. Okay. So you got to answer.
Are you trying to tell me my future?
No.
Okay.
Forms still have to be filled out. If you're going to go buy a firearm from a licensed dealer, you still have to fill out the federales forms.
Yeah.
And you have to do it truthfully.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, can you take the forms with you?
No.
You have to leave them there?
Yeah.
Got an idea. If you have questions, the form is readily available on the internet in PDF format. You can download it and practice, or if you have questions on the answers, so you don't commit a felony, you can contact GRL Law, and we will help you define some of these things.
There you go.
I like it. Okay. So form has to be filled out for any licensed purchase from any licensed dealer. What if I'm buying I'm going to buy your firearm that you already locked away nicely before we shipped on MadDogs. What happens individual to individual? How does that work?
So if want to do that between another person, you need to knowingly know that they're not in any way, shape, or form that they're not legally able to possess a firearm.
That they are legally
Yeah,
able.
that they are legally.
They're not prohibited.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So, and the best way to do that is obviously make sure they have a permit to carry.
Okay.
As a person, if you're doing a person-to-person sale that's not in a range.
Yep.
Okay, or a gun shop. Best way to tell is if they have a permit to carry. Easy way to see. Okay, it's not.
That's clear. That's easy.
Yeah.
They have that. They can possess a firearm.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And check the dates
Yep.
because it will expire. So make sure it's not expired. Write down that number on their permit to carry on the bill of sale.
Okay.
So, and if you don't see that they have a permit to carry, but you're like, okay, I don't know who this person really is, you need to go to an FFL dealer.
Okay.
So someone who's licensed to do that, to do a transaction, to make sure it goes in their name.
Okay. And that's a CYA from the person selling the firearm, because chances are when you bought it, it's registered in your name. If somebody goes and does bad deeds with the firearm, you
It's
don't
going
want
to come back on your butt.
because they'll track that.
Yeah, they
Okay.
will.
If they don't have a permit,
Okay.
if you're selling to somebody who doesn't have a permit to carry or a permit to acquire,
Then you need to go to an FFL dealer. And then they can run a background check on them. So
do you have to legally or should you?
You should.
Okay. Responsible gun sales.
This is why we call ourselves law-abiding citizens.
Amen, sister. Okay. So go to a licensed dealer and they can do a formal transaction on your behalf.
Yep, and
what does that cost?
They can do a background check. Depends on the range. One of the ranges I work at and teach at is $35.
Well worth it.
Yes.
Okay. If you don't want to spend the $35 and go to the range, what else could you do to cover your butt?
With the bill of sale? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so bill of sale, their name, your name, signatures, and I would get all the information that they would give me.
Yeah.
Because they're like, here you go.
Yeah, let me get a picture of your driver's license. Whatever it may be.
Yep.
Because again, you're trying to cover your butt. Just like if you
Correct.
sell a vehicle, you want to make sure, hey, no, that's their vehicle, not mine anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Form required for licensed dealers.
Yep.
Individuals not required, but there's some best practices that we just talked about. I fill out the form. Is that it?
So you fill out the form. Now, if you have a permit, they'll ask for that, and they'll ask for your ID.
Okay.
And they'll take a copy of that with the form.
But I'm a true Iowa permitless guy.
Then
No
they will
permits.
do a background check on you.
What?
Yep.
Okay.
And so and here's where it gets interesting because they may start doing this. So it may not come back that same day.
Oh, so I gotta wait?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of times it also depends on people's internet, things like that, like how slow is this process going, or they just not checking things today and like, we'll wait a couple days to run that.
Okay, so background check is still going to be required
Yes.
because they have to validate and verify that that person is not a prohibited person.
Correct, because they have to keep those forms for 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question. If somebody comes in, I'm say a licensed dealer.
Okay.
You're a licensed dealer. I come
Okay.
into you to purchase. I want I want a 45 because I don't know better. And I
was going to ask make and model.
I fill out this wonderful, but I want like an extra magazine. Like I want a big 45 that I can just never run out of bullets. Okay. Bad Bama Jamma 45. I fill out all the forms. I do the background check, and in passing, you're asking me, dude, why do you need this much? And what? I give you a creep factor 11 on a scale of 10.
I don't have to sell it to you.
You don't.
No. I don't even have to get, like, if you take my class and I get that, I don't have to give you a certificate.
So a licensed dealer can refuse to sell a firearm to anybody at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Does that go into a database? So like there's a communication, like Shields says, Bobby's a creep. I come to you, and you could pull it up and say, ooh, Shields says Bobby's a creep. maybe he's practiced and has a better...
So they can call around to local places
Okay.
and just say, hey, this is what's happening.
There's no set database.
Right.
Maybe we should create that.
Yeah. So you can call the sheriff and let them know. In my years of teaching, I didn't have to deny anybody, but I know one of the instructors had to deny somebody a certificate.
Okay.
Just because of how they were acting. And that's another thing. When I'm teaching, if someone says something like a racial slur or something like that, or talking about how they're going to use the firearm, if, even if they're kidding, I'm like, guys, you can't kid about that.
Right.
Like, I'm your first basically filter. I will withhold a certificate from you, and I will let your county sheriff know.
Okay. So part of responsible gun dealership is kind of being that first filter, looking at that, identifying individuals who may be at risk, and more importantly, notifying other people who can then not get duped if they practice their,
Yeah.
Could I sue you? Why would you deny? Like, if you deny me my purchase, you deny me my Second Amendment right, can I sue you?
I feel like you probably could. You can sue for about anything, can't you?
Can. They tell you that first day of law school, you can sue, doesn't mean you win.
Right.
Good. I like that. So background check's still required. When they're doing the background check, what are they looking for?
They're looking at your background. They're looking at if you have any felonies, obviously. Anything alcohol related in the past 12 months, or then there's some in the past 5 years that they'll look at as well. Any domestic abuse. So
they're checking to see if you are legally authorized to possess a firearm.
Right.
Okay. And what would be let's just keep it to the top 5.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of ways the law prohibits people from prohibiting or from possessing or purchasing a firearm. And it also depends on what type of firearm, whether it's a pistol, revolver, long gun. I learned in law that long gun is actually a thing. It means it's long.
Ooh.
Like that? Like a shotgun is a long gun. There's a lot of ways you can be disqualified, and I would always say, when you're answering these forms, because we've seen the prosecutions for these forms. We had an appeal related to these forms. We won.
Of course.
Duh.
Not even a question.
But the top things that would say, don't even bother applying. Well, I mean, clear prohibitors are, first one is what?
Felons.
Felons. What is a felony?
What is a felony?
Here's a definition of felony. Yeah. Generally speaking, it has to be classified as a felony in the state of the conviction. The reason that's important, in the federal definition of felony is anything punishable by more than 1 year in prison or jail. In state court in Iowa, we have aggravated misdemeanors. Those are punishable by up to 1 year in jail or up to 2 years in prison. So if you were to apply the federal definition, an aggravated misdemeanor conviction would qualify. However, the federal definition of felony defers to the state definition, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So if it's called a felony, if you have an FE number in Iowa on the case and you pled to that charge that is at the level of a felony, D, C, B, or A, if A, you're probably not buying a gun because you're in prison for life.
Right.
Then you're disqualified, period. Questions, deferred judgments, no deferred judgments. Not going to answer that today because it's uncertain.
It's a rabbit hole.
Completely. What would be the other one? What would be another one?
The domestic abuse assaults. Yeah.
So that's important because...
Or child abuse assaults.
Yep. Which is generally domestic.
Yeah.
If you have a conviction for even a misdemeanor domestic abuse assault, you are a prohibited person from possessing a firearm.
Yeah.
That's important. Okay. What's the other one?
No contact orders against you.
Protective orders. So if you've reached that level in life where somebody has a no contact order against you.
Somebody doesn't want to be near you.
Somebody asks for court intervention to keep you away from them. It makes sense. You cannot purchase or possess firearms.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one that some people may not know.
Under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and if you have an issue with either of those.
Yeah. So as we looked in this form, Are you an unlawful user of or addicted to, I like how they say it, marijuana, depressant, stimulant, narcotic drug, or any other controlled substance? So, that's a loaded question. What's addiction? What's unlawful user?
Yeah.
We're not going to go into that in detail.
No.
We'll just say if you have a substance abuse issue, you need to probably address that first before you decide to go out and buy a gun.
I feel like most people would know. Majority, I think, would
There's
know.
a word called denial.
There is. I know many people who are like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic. I'm like, oh, okay, bud.
Another important one is, this is the one I think that's the most important that people don't know. And it's our number 5 there, the V. What is it?
While committing an indictable criminal offense.
Indictable.
Indictable
criminal offense. So you cannot carry, whether you have a permit or not. Actually, you cannot carry a firearm without a permit if you are at the same time committing an indictable offense.
Correct.
An indictable offense is, in Iowa, is a serious misdemeanor or greater. Theft in the 4th degree is an indictable offense. Possession of marijuana is an indictable offense. OWI is an indictable offense. So a lot of people don't understand. Driving while barred is an indictable offense.
Yeah.
So if you're carrying your pea shooter without a permit and you happen to be barred in your car, technically they can whack you with a carrying a weapon charge. So that's important. We're running out of time. We're not going to get to justification, which is awesome because we're going to have to save that for a whole nother discussion. But let's talk about the duty to cooperate. Under the permitless carry, along when they changed the permitless carry, they also threw in a duty to cooperate. What is the legal duty to cooperate under the new law? Here, I got it right here for you.
Do you? Thank
you. There you go.
I have it on my app, too.
I know, but apps are, as we know.
Oh, person carrying a dangerous weapon whose behavior creates a reasonable suspicion that the person presents a danger to the person's self or others shall cooperate with an investigating officer.
Did you write that when you were up on the hill?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. I didn't have authority.
because that is riddled with bullet holes.
Like I said, they write riddles.
Riddled with bullet holes. Because first, it requires a reasonable suspicion that the person presents a danger to the person's self or others. To me, that means that individual is then a target of a criminal investigation. Would you agree? If you're possessing a firearm and they have reason to believe you are a danger to other people,
can they just say that?
Sure. They can, listen, we know they can say anything.
That's why I'm asking the attorney.
They're saying you have a duty to cooperate. What's cooperate?
Yeah.
Does that mean you have to disclose the firearm when you get pulled over?
Unless they ask.
Yeah. I don't think you do. I don't think even if they ask.
Oh, really?
I don't legally under the law.
So if they find it in your car after you said no,
you're going to get charged.
Yep.
And you're going to have to defend it. But at the same time, I watch videos all the time. They ask people to step out of the car on an OWI investigation. You got any weapons? Everybody's trained and everybody's taught, and I think reasonably so, disclose to law enforcement. What they do is they just disclose a new charge. Because if they're impaired, intoxicated, or believed to be impaired, intoxicated, OWI, and then you get carrying a weapon while intoxicated. They may not ever find it. I don't know. I'm not going to give advice on that. You got to do what is in your own moral compass, but there's no legal obligation.
No. So I have been pulled over a couple times for speeding.
Shocker.
Yeah. And, well, the one time, or a couple times, I told them that I was carrying, and the one officer had to remove it from where it was because my wallet was in the same spot. And he was very kind, You
also weren't drunk?
I wasn't. And then the other time, he basically just said, well, if you don't pull yours, I won't pull mine. I said, fantastic.
Fair.
That's
a good deal.
Fantastic.
And then it, shall cooperate with an investigating officer. What
are they investigating?
I don't know, but I know there's something called the Fifth Amendment. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a whole episode on the Fifth Amendment.
You're getting a lot of.
We got
you're taking notes.
We got topics for all next year.
Yeah.
Last thing. We're
Yeah.
gonna finish up with this.
Oh.
Where can you not carry permitless or even with a permit?
You cannot carry, obviously, in federal property.
Okay. You can't take your pea shooter into the Social Security office or the post office.
IRS, post office.
Yep.
Can't take it into schools. I feel like that's an obvious one. Some people may not know, but obvious. And also school buses. If they're going to and from a school, treat it as a school.
Okay.
Also, airports past security.
So we have that. People forget. They're used to carrying. They forget. They go through security. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Right. They get charged.
And here's another thing. Don't go to the gun range and then go to the airport.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's what people pay you good money for. Not enough, right?
Not enough.
Not enough. Judicial, state-controlled judicial areas.
Yep.
You can do first, like a lot of small counties have auditor, blah, 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 blah. And then at the third floor, second floor is the judicial controlled, state-controlled.
Yep.
You just can't you can't carry on the floor related to judicial.
Right.
Makes
Yep.
sense. You
Yep.
don't want domestic disputes with firearms involved.
Correct.
Bad idea.
Yep.
Last thing, private property with the sign up that says weapons not permitted.
You can carry
Legally,
legally.
lawfully.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless someone spots it and then they ask you to leave. If you don't leave, you're trespassing.
Okay.
And then you will get charged.
So you can
More than likely.
You can surreptitiously carry on private property even if the owners have a sign posted saying we object to that.
Yeah, there's a couple restaurants I won't go into.
They
Because
search
of
you?
No, they have the signs up and I'm like, I'm not even gonna.
Not gonna give
Their
you my
food
money.
sucks anyways.
Okay. Fair. And they don't serve Mad Dog. So we hit a lot of information, and we've set up a ton of follow-up that we're going to probably have to come back with.
Yeah,
because
we're gonna have to.
justification, we could probably do 3 episodes on justification and stand your ground.
We'll have to break it down because there's a lot of stuff that we weren't able to go over, and
We'll have to leave
there's
that
a lot
as-
of stuff I gotta say.
We know. So we're going to have to leave that as a teaser. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with the ever-popular do's and don'ts with donut. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is nasty.
It's a hard thing for the cops to get through because they seem to think that if you've had something to drink, you have violated the law. And that's just not the case. It's just not the case. And it's very frustrating, I don't know for you, but for me, it's very frustrating to, well, he admitted he had a drink. All right, well, so what? That's not a violation of the law. I don't understand.
Well, and you can have an attorney that has, I suppose, been perfect their entire life and never seen things from other perspectives. But if you can understand some of the turmoil that a client has gone through and some of the things that they're going through at the time that they seek you out for your help, I think it puts us in a better position to help those folks, not only legally, but personally work through those specific situations.
All right, we are back with the all-time favorite segment of the episodes, which is Do's and Don'ts with Donut. We just got done talking about Second Amendment, guns, MadDog,
which I've never tried.
You've never tried. You're a better person for not, probably. I probably should have got you one, too, just to make you. But Do's and Don'ts with Donut. What do you have for us this month?
I figured since the last 2 episodes were the Second Amendment, we would take it back a step and talk a little bit about the First Amendment. And it's an interesting question.
All right. I'm not good with the First Amendment necessarily. But we're going to find out.
It's something you know a little bit about.
Okay.
So the question, or the title says, I want to give legal advice, but it seems to be illegal. How can I practice my First Amendment right legally? Alternatively, how can I go about making case law so others can do the same? I know I can't claim to be an attorney, won't have privilege, and can't represent people in court, but there's plenty of folks who could use who could benefit from help preparing their own filings, evaluating their cases, etc. I know this would be an uphill battle to say the least, but how do I go about doing this?
Doing what exactly?
Giving legal advice without having a license to practice law.
Oh, okay.
How do you practice your First Amendment rights in relation to giving legal advice and not participating in the unauthorized practice of law?
This is a law school exam, isn't it?
It is.
It's a bar exam.
I was just reading it, and I'm sitting there, and people generally have a pretty big misunderstanding of what the First Amendment protects.
Yeah.
It's, I think, one of the most confusing things about constitutional law.
Yeah.
But to put it into the practice of law, and how do you go about practicing law and your First Amendment rights?
I have a question.
Okay.
Are they asking about First Amendment rights relative to religion or
I'm
free
reading
expression
speech.
and speech?
Advice is speaking to someone else.
What if it's in a religious capacity? I mean,
What's your religion?
law.
Same.
So the first thing that comes to my mind is jailhouse lawyer.
Yeah.
I don't think there is anything that prohibits giving a friend or giving another person advice or suggestions on what you think the law says. Trust us, we have armchair quarterbacks second guessing everything we do all the time. Yeah. That's part of the job. So the question really becomes, where's the line on unauthorized practice of law?
Yeah.
First of all, is unauthorized practice of law a crime?
It is.
Is it?
Yes. Don't know if it isn't, like, a serious crime. It's got to be, though. That's the only way they can regulate it.
Civil penalties.
Fair.
We probably should have looked that up before we
I've been researching. It's just a good question that I don't necessarily have. I mean, clearly there's limitations to your First Amendment rights in religion, speech, and the amount of damage someone could do practicing law. Yeah. I don't know that, like, people maybe understand the, like, true, like, almost life and death nature of a lot of things that lawyers do.
100%. And of course, we would love to overstate the importance of what we do.
Always.
But
it's my favorite hobby.
But at the same time, I think you can First Amendment, like, so your ability to professional licensure, right? That can be appropriately regulated by the government. You also don't have the right under the First Amendment to do certain things in certain contexts. Classic example is you cannot, or you can be in trouble if you, on the record, call a judge an effing retard. That happens.
Yeah.
I have a transcript.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't do that. They can punish that. But if a person feels it's important and they feel a calling to help other people navigate the legal system and don't want to take on the expense of law school, go through the licensing process, which certainly can do. Have at it. We need more good lawyers. I don't think anything prohibits from providing suggestions or advice, so to say.
Or general legal advice, general information about the legal system. I mean, anyone can Google the statute of a certain crime or something like that. I think the line has to be where you're sitting down with someone, they're specifically giving you facts, and you are applying those facts in your head and telling them how to proceed.
And the advice part.
Yes.
And I think the important part also is compensation for the advice.
Yeah.
If you're just friendly, hey, what do you think? Because that's what happens in, jail, prison, although I'm sure commissary gets exchanged, other things get exchanged
True.
for the services. you can't hold yourself out as a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sign off on pleadings on somebody else's behalf. You cannot write a letter or correspondence on somebody else's behalf. What you can do, I believe, is say, well, my opinion is from reading this, X, Y, and Z. Or I've helped put together these pleadings, but you have to sign your name. Because in law, when the attorney signs their name or when the person signs their name, they are taking responsibility and accountability for what's provided in that. And so, I mean, it happens all the time with post-conviction relief with prisoner. You have your prison lawyer writes up the petition and says, here you go, Joe, sign off on that. Away you go. I helped you. I get 3 extra ramens.
Or even you have the right to defend yourself or
100%.
Go to court as a pro se litigant.
Yep. Maybe
Obviously
practice on
not-
yourself.
Yeah. Give yourself some legal advice to try it out.
Yeah, I like that.
Fair. It's an interesting question with
No really good, hard, fast.
someone's got to have a good answer. I was even like reading through the comments of it and everyone's just like, because you just can't, okay? Like, but, and I thought that was funny. But the other interesting part of that question was, how do you go about this to make case law? And what you would have to do is
Be on the wrong side.
get charged, get it appealed all the way, and then go into a room full of attorneys and tell them why you should be able to do their job and convince them of that. So I don't know that it would ever be plausible.
I think, well, I'll go with plausible, possible. I think if I'm saying do, for the do's and don'ts on this, I'm going to say do practice on yourself.
Fair.
Be your own attorney. Be your own guinea pig. Don't ruin somebody else's life based upon stuff you think you know that other people go through a lot of training to learn and to prove that they know. Mm-hmm. So I say we say do practice on yourself. You want to be your own lawyer? Be your own lawyer all day long, every day, all day, as much as you want. Get your case up to the Iowa Supreme Court or the U.S. Supreme Court. Go argue that bad daddy yourself. Let me know. Let me know when that's happening, because I'm curious to see how this works out.
I'm curious how the argument goes.
Yeah. I really want to see that. But
I think that there's no way this pro se guy gets there, so he's going to have to find a lawyer to do it.
I'm voting on pro. I'm rooting on Team Pro Se.
Mr. Pro Se.
I
love that.
Firmly on Team Pro Se. Now, don'ts out of this. If we're saying we can set some definitive don'ts.
Don't file something on someone else's behalf.
Okay. Yes.
Don't sign anything
On
a filing
On
or
somebody else's
something
behalf.
like some legal document.
on somebody else's behalf.
Don't hold yourself out to be a lawyer. Don't solicit your legal advice side gig.
Don't take compensation for your fake legal advice that you can't give. Yeah.
Even if it's jailhouse commissary.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Well, if you're doing it right, you're getting compensated for your time in preparing information and writing documents. You can make that distinction, but you can't be compensated, and you should not receive compensation for signing off on or claiming and articulating and stating that you are representing somebody. You cannot represent that you represent somebody.
Yes.
If you are not a licensed attorney. So try on yourself, practice on yourself.
Do give a disclaimer.
I am not a lawyer, but I stayed at a
I'm
Holiday
not a lawyer,
Inn.
and this is your choice to listen to me.
And don't
Don't get in trouble. Don't practice law. It's not that fun.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
You know what? We're ending
It's
there.
not fun enough to go to jail for it.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, maybe it depends, but
case by case basis.
yeah, you should maybe think about it for a little bit.
Fair. Listen to the experts. Do's and don'ts with donuts. That's a wrap.
Cheers.
Thanks, Sid.
We can't change the past, but we will change your future. GRL Law. Thanks for tuning in to GRL Raw. Check us out at grllaw.com.